Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Gallia of the Endless Dance.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching here on YouTube. You know what to do if you want to help out. You can just run down there, hit subscribe, ding the bell, leave a little comment. All that's super easy, and it really helps us out a lot. If you want to go the extra mile, though, check out patreon.com/commandersbrew, where you can help make these episodes and help build our decks. Every week we're brewing decks in our Discord, and you can get access to that through our Patreon. So come on over, patreon.com/commandersbrew. Other perks as well, kicking around all kinds of cool stuff, so check it out. But without further ado, let us get into today's deck. It's a Theros commander. It is Gallia of the Endless Dance. Wow, yeah. So I gotta say, so you know, we haven't we've been having a lot of, I think, really fun brews lately, and I don't want that to stop. But I did want to lean into Theros Beyond Death. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I'm paying attention to current magic. No, I really did. So, because there's a lot of commanders in this set. Although I will say this, I am a little underwhelmed with most of them. After taking kind of a second glance at them, there's some good monocolored ones. Don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for multicolored, they're a little bit straightforward. But the one that jumped out at me was Gallia of the Endless Dance. And I'll just read her to everyone. Gallia is the Gruul commander, red-green, legendary creature, satyr. Satyr? I think that's how you say it.
Satyr? I said satyr.
Satyr. Like the way you said it is right. Not
like I'd say later.
Later. Satyr.
But satyr.
There you go. You're thrown off by that Y. She's a 2/2 with haste. Other satyrs you control get +1/+1 and have haste. And whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may discard a card at random, and if you do, draw 2 cards. All right, so we got 2 options, or maybe all together as one. But I didn't really want to make this satyr tribal. I think that's a little on rails. I don't think there's that many satyrs. I think they're basically all from the 2 Theros sets, so your options are kind of constricted there, they're limited. While it might be a fine deck, it might even be a super fun deck, there's not a lot of wiggle room as to like how, you know, the satyrs that exist are the ones we have to use, kind of thing. Lord knows we've brewed those decks before on this show, and they're fine. I just didn't want to do it for this one because I had another idea. I wanted to really base it on that second ability, the attacking with 3 or more creatures and discarding things at random and drawing 2 cards, which is pretty cool. She's a low to the ground commander, a 2/2 for 2 with haste. You know, that's going to get out there. That's going to be able to get in right away. That's going to be able to start getting those attacks in as soon as we can, which is what we want to do because we want to use Gallia as a kind of early game card advantage engine. And then we can use the stuff that we've built in the deck to get those cards we've discarded back later, or to get a little bonus from them later. And basically what we want to do is we want to get a couple creatures down and just start swinging right away so we can generate the advantage to then get those cards back, and then we can kind of push in for a big win at the end.
A little bit of an aggro build. I like it.
It is a bit of an aggro build. Like you're definitely going to be happier if you started the game at 20 life, for example. But probably
#20 in 2020.
Yeah, but you probably didn't, and that's fine because you're just playing by the normal commander rules then. In which case, though, it's going to be difficult, but this is a Gruul deck, which means that we've got a lot of options when it comes to token making and attacking and things like that. So let's just jump right into these. Any moves?
Working on a
neat
moves.
Okay, so starting off our Gallia deck, obviously we want to be attacking with a couple of creatures, which means we're going to be making a couple of tokens because that's how you like to attack with these kind of expendable creatures. So, Sean, why don't you take us in through these? These aren't necessarily all token makers, but they're creatures that want to attack, and yeah, some of them have some token making stuff. So read those first 3, will ya?
Yeah, an all-star, becoming one of my faves of all time, Loyal Apprentice, 1 in a red, Artificer for a 2/1 with haste. Already got haste, but also Lieutenant. And if you have your commander out at the beginning of combat, you create a 1/1 colorless Thopter, and that token gains haste. So as long as your commander's out, you get 2 hasty bodies for 2 mana on that turn. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We've also got
The one I just want to say real quick, the one great thing about Loyal Apprentice is, like you said, because both of the creatures that you're paying 1 in a red, you're getting a 2/1 and a 1/1 if you've already have Gallia out. So like on turn 3, you can be attacking with 3 creatures and getting that trigger off already, which is great. So yeah, one of the
how
best
do you
ones
feel?
there.
It's interesting. It's really test your gut about whether you're comfortable discarding a random card with like a mitt like that.
You really should be in this deck, like unless you're low on lands or something. But even then, like there's, this is a Gruul deck. We got ramp in here. It shouldn't be a big problem for us to just start it right away.
We're running 10 of the Bloodsower, 2 red green for an elf druid, 2/2 with trample. Whenever 10 of the Bloodsower deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green Saproling creature tokens. She has Old Partner, which only matters if she's in your command zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we can figure out a way to get her in or suit her up a bit, pump her up, then we're getting lots of extra tokens for lots more attacking. And also Grand Warlord Radha. That's how we're going to get all this extra mana to cast this stuff. 2 red green, Elf Warrior, Legendary, 3/4 with haste. I love haste on this. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control attack, add that much mana in either red or green, and they don't leave your mana pool as the turns and phases end. So you actually get to spend it on your second main phase.
Yeah, Grand Warlord Radha, really key card in this deck. Like really, like I think maybe Gallia is, like a lot of these Theros commanders, probably a better 99 card. For example, probably a better 99 card in a Grand Warlord Radha deck.
Yeah.
But, if you're making her your commander, that just means Radha is going to be an excellent card in the 99, which it is. So you slam Radha down on turn 4, and like I said, if we had the start that we just mentioned where we had Loyal Apprentice, like we're already up a card, we got Radha down, now we're generating mana with our creature, so like you kind of don't care if you're losing lands that you're discarding. So we've got a lot of stuff like that is great. If we want to mitigate a little bit that if we're a little worried about that discard, and you are still up a card on the transaction, remember, but an Oran Frostfang is pretty sweet, because with Oran Frostfang, the 3 green 2/6 Snow Snake, when it hits a player, you draw a card, and it's actually whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Also, attacking creatures you control have Death Touch, so pretty good. Oran Frostfang is an all-star in this deck.
Yeah, I'm so grateful we got to spoil this card.
Yes, exactly. We use a couple of our spoiler cards in this deck, actually. I love it when I see our babies grow up and become really great cards.
It's true.
It's funny that like we feel that way, and then imagine the people who actually make the cards get to feel. They really feel this way. But they must create so many that are like, it's like, oh yeah, I helped with that card, or I made up that card,
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. And like, I'm imagining like there's other content creators who spoiled other cards who are like, ooh, and like, I think, I probably forget who spoiled what, but I always remember the ones we spoiled.
Definitely. Also, we also have Genesis and Anger. Kind of I think they're from the same original cycle, or at least they kind of want to be. They're both incarnations. And the Genesis is 4 and a green for a 4/4. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if Genesis is in your graveyard, you may pay 2 and a green. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And Anger is 3 and a red for a 2/2 with haste. And as long as Anger is in your graveyard and you control a mountain, weird, creatures you control have haste. So both of these creatures, I have them in the want to attack category because they are fine with attacking and creating that trigger for Gallia, but also they're fine if you happen to randomly discard them. They're amazing.
Yes.
If someone blocks them when they're attacking and they go into your graveyard, great. Like, you know what I mean? These guys are just happy wherever they are. Obviously, you are probably a little happier with them in your graveyard, so you might want to hang on to them until you're going to discard it or something, like if it's the last card in your hand. But also feel free to just plop these guys down and have them swing. Really good. Yeah.
Neat. I imagine there's a lot of tension too, but like a fun little, like, when do you stop playing lands and start sandbagging them to hope to discard those? Or does that ever happen? Are you just happy to always it doesn't matter, I'm happy to discard anything?
When I played, I did a couple tests, and I mostly just played my lands out, and then if I had one land left and I was like, I had 4 mana and I'm looking, I know I got to hit 5, then I you know what, I just did it, because you're gonna draw 2 cards, and like the chances of you hitting a land between those 2 draws and your next draw are pretty high.
Yeah.
So I never really worried about the land.
Okay.
Yeah. Sean, why don't you take us through a couple more token makers? Because we got we've got a couple, we got a little bit of mana out because we've managed to go through our deck a little bit, and we've maybe rotted or something. What can we do with to really make a lot of tokens?
Well, very few token makers are more powerful than Avenger of Zendikar. 5 green, elemental for 5/5. When the Avenger enters, you get as many 0/1 green plants as the number of lands you control. 10 lands, 10 0/1 plants.
Great.
And now you have landfall trigger, so that as long as Avenger of Zendikar is on the battlefield, every time you play a land, your landfall trigger is that you put a +1/+1 counter on every plant you control. And if you somehow have a plant some other way, like as a changeling or I don't know, don't forget to put ones on those too. So those 0/1s get big quick.
Yeah.
Avenger of Zendikar is a menace if you're facing it on the opposite side.
Always.
We're also going to play the Living Hive, 6 green for an elemental insect with trample, 6/6. I don't think I've ever heard of this card.
Yeah.
It's a 6 green for a 6/6 trample elemental insect. Whenever Living Hive deals combat damage to a player, put that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens on the battlefield. This card's great. Maybe a bit overcosted for a 6/6, but man, hitting with that thing does real work. And of course, Rapacious One. Oh, I love this card. I forgot about it. 5 in a red for a 5/4 Eldrazi drone. It's got trample, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put that many 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens on the battlefield, and all of those spawns, all of those signs, little Eldrazi tokens, you can sack them to add 1 colorless to your mana pool.
So especially these last 2, Living Hive and Rapacious One, definitely leaning in on the theme of attacking, wanting to get those attacks in, making it difficult for your opponents to block because they have trample or whatever. We're kind of fine with them going to the graveyard. This is the secret of this deck, is because we have some decent graveyard recursion that we're going to be using. And of course, you would think that with Gallia, that's exactly what we're going to do, because we're discarding. So you needn't worry if these creatures die. If they make a few tokens, that's exactly what we want to do. I wanted to highlight this specific little interaction, which I think is really good. It's really with any of the tokens, of course, but Firecat Blitz is a really great card in this deck. It's X red for the sorcery. You put X 1/1 red cat creature tokens with haste into play, remove them from the game at end of turn. So, and it has flashback. You can pay red and sacrifice X mountains. You'd really have to be hard up for ending the game with that flashback ability, but it can be a real thing. Like, we can have some way to like pump our creatures up and use that flashback ability. Again, flashback, very good in this deck, because this can just end up in your graveyard through a discard, and then you can still use it, right?
And I do want to, I also love this card. I want to just remind the people listening, watching, that this is often a spell that you might want to cast the front and back half in the same turn.
Yes.
Right? Like X, so red X, just save 2 red and make X as much as you can without those 2 reds. Then flash it back with those last 2 reds and then sack all your mountains. I'm assuming this is your game-ending play. If you're sacking half your lands, yes. But you can do a ton with this card.
Here's why it's really good in this deck. So not only does our Firecat Blitz, all our little cats get haste, they get to attack, they get to get in there, and they get to cause a Gallia trigger and any other of the triggers that we have working in this deck. But if we have them in concert with something like Skull Clamp, the classic, 1 mana artifact, obviously equipped creature gets +1/-1. Whenever a creature dies, you draw 2 cards, equipped for 1. Very, very broken card, as we all know. And Foster, which is 2 green for an enchantment that says whenever a creature you control dies, you can pay 1 generic, and if you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card in your hand, rest into your graveyard. Very important there. So Foster, so obviously Skull Clamp's great. Skull Clamp is the one we're thinking of, because what we can do is, if we don't have this game-ending play, Firecat Blitz is kind of not a great card. It's kind of only really good at that. Like, it's an X spell. What are we doing? We can't point at a creature and kill something because it only makes cats. But in this deck, it's good because play Firecat Blitz for like 5. You know, let's say we have like something like 8 mana or something like that. Play Firecat Blitz for like 5. You get 3 things. They attack. You do your trigger with Gallia, and then either you have Skull Clamp to clamp them away after, or you have Foster so that when they get chump blocked, or you've chumped attacked, basically because something can just block them. You pay the extra 1 for Foster, and they just those cats turn into real creatures in your hand, which is awesome. And the rest of those cards go in your graveyard. And like I said, we've got a ton of recursions in this deck. So anything that's pitched that isn't a creature, you know, green is very good at getting just regular cards. If you listen to the last episode, our Jund Sacrifice episode, we talked about that a lot. How, you know, green with stuff like, obviously, things like regrowth and things like that, you can just get them right back. So Foster is a really good card. Really, really love this one. Kind of surprised I don't see this card played more in EDH because I think it's really good.
It's my Mr. Foster, my grade 10 chemistry teacher.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Foster. There he is. Chomping on a giant dead beast.
I mean, that's what he liked to do on his spare time. So
Yeah, there he is.
we've also got Grum Golly the Generous. 1 red-green legendary goblin shaman. 3/3. Very good stats for 3 mana already. Each other non-human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 battle counter, a +1/+1 counter on it. I don't think we've mentioned a human yet. Maybe Grand Warlord Radha?
Yeah, no, she's an elf.
Elf, right. So far, Human Artificer, Loyal Apprentice. 1. But Loyal Apprentice brings a lot of Thopters, which are non-human.
Yes.
So, we're going to get a ton of +1/+ encounters off of Grum Golly. A whole army of cats that are now 2/2. That's a big difference. And, of course, Loyal Guardian, 4 and a green for the Rhino. 4/4 with Trample. But like the Loyal Apprentice, you've got Lieutenant here. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, very cheap, probably do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. No questions asked. Loyal Guardian doesn't ask questions.
No.
Loyal Guardian just, asks one question. Is your commander out?
That's true.
That's it.
One very important question. Commander out? Cool, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, both of these obviously there to pump up your tokens pretty nicely. Grum Golly works great because I think every token we make, it's hard to find things that trigger from tokens either entering or dying. It's tough because a lot of most of it is non-token, right?
Yeah,
And
to prevent infinite
which
combo shenanigans.
totally makes sense, right? And especially in these colors, like we're not working in black, we're not working in white, which has some token shenanigans, as we know. Twilight Shepherd, is that card that we always, Twilight Drover? Anyways.
Twilight Drover, yeah.
We always use that card. It's really good.
Yeah.
So finding things in red and green are a little harder, but these are 2 really good ones, Grum Golly specifically. So I mentioned the discard, right? We're talking about this is the thing that like it even came up in the Discord. By the way, shout outs to I'll do it later because we'll do it all at once. But a couple of those cards were specifically chosen by our Discord, our patrons in there. Go over patreon.com/commandersbrew. Check it out if you want to get it on the Discord. So speaking of discard, it came up that like, isn't this like not great? You don't want to randomly discard something, right? You know, which is true. You don't. And so I've been talking a lot about this recursion. I'm just going to go through these quickly because we already know what they do. We talked about them a lot. Green Warden of Miraz is the big elemental. It's the 5/4 for 6 mana. It says when it enters, you get a card back from the graveyard to your hand, and then when it dies, you can exile it, and if you do, you return a card from your graveyard to your hand. I have this in 2 decks. I have it in Carador, and I have it in what's it called? Omnath, Angry Omnath. I've never not exiled it.
Why would,
right?
Never.
Because I remember when I saw this for a card, I was like, ooh, we can really bust it in Commander if we like keep recurring it and stuff, right? Like Carador or something like that, some Reanimator strategy. But no, I always exile it every time it dies to get that other card.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you will too. It's really great. And we also have Den Protector, which is the Megamorph creature. It's the 2 mana 2/1. It's 1 and a green. And when you flip it, when you Megamorph it up for 1 and a green, you return target card from your graveyard to your hand.
It costs a gumball these days.
It also has the fun text, which might come in handy because it actually Den Protector is a pretty good attacker of creatures with power less than Den Protector's power can't block it. I always forget it has that text.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, that's great. Put a couple counters on this thing, and it's hard to block.
Exactly, it's true. And like, so you'll find it so that like people can only block it with like one of their good creatures, and they don't want to because it'll be a trade, and then you're like, well,
Yeah.
Den Protector just randomly gets in for like 4 or 5 damage sometimes.
And got you that card back. Love it.
Yeah, so there's some other cards that we can get back in various ways. So, Sean, why don't you read these next 3 here?
Yeah, I mean, we don't mind if Devil's Play ends up in the graveyard. Red X sorcery deals X damage to any target, but you can flash it back for X red, red, red. So if that ends up in the graveyard, we're still doing X damage to any target. We've got Creeping Renaissance, 3 green, green. Sorcery, choose a permanent type and you return all the cards of the chosen type from your graveyard to your hand. That's a ton for 5 mana. You're probably going to get lots of options, but it also has flashback, 5 green green to just put a ton of stuff from your graveyard back to your hand. And of course, another Commander's Brew preview card from Theros Beyond Death itself, Underworld Breach. First deck we've done this in? Is this the first deck this has made it in?
I think it is.
I think it is. 1 and a red for an enchantment. Every non-land card in your graveyard has escape, and the escape cost is the same as the mana cost, plus exile 3 other cards. And at the beginning of the end step, you have to sacrifice it. So very, very strong card.
This card's amazing, and do you have the thing there? Can you look and see how much this card is right now?
Yes, almost $4.
I think this card's just going to keep getting more expensive.
Yeah.
I think it is, because we're opening a lot right now because it's the current set and people are playing it in standard, but I don't think they've really busted it. Like, I know it's in a deck right now. I know it's being played in Pioneer a little bit, but it's part of this like kind of niche combo deck. And I feel like if someone breaks this combo in any other format, which is possible, like something like Modern, maybe if it were to happen. I don't know enough about those formats to know for sure, but just the fact that it's being played in 2 formats has piqued my interest in that. Like, this card, I think, is going to get a little more expensive. It's at the very least, it's not going down, I don't think, right?
Pick one up. You know you're going to want one day in a deck. Get it while it's $4 instead of when it's $10.
Yeah.
We were playing the other night, and Mike from our play group, you might see him from episodes of Battle of the Brews a lot. He has his Savine deck. He added this to his Savine deck, and I don't need to tell you how broken this is in a Savine deck, where every time you cast something from your graveyard, you copy it. So then he's just like,
wow. Yeah, that's a must-have in that deck.
Must have.
And obviously the thing that we love about this card is that it's an enchantment, so it itself is recurable.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't exile itself. Like, this is wild. Yeah. So you can get you're not doing anything crazy broken with this card when you cast it in this deck, but you're getting good value from it. You're going to be able to cast 2 or 3 things from your graveyard, probably, maybe even more. And then perhaps even do it again at some later date when you can recur it back again. So yeah, very good card, very strong, nice little value engine there. Next, so this is these next 2 cards are for if we absolutely do not want to discard. Like, we don't want to lose these cards to the graveyard. First of all, Library of Lang makes it so that you don't really discard. Library of Lang is a 1 mana artifact from very old set. I don't know what set this is.
It came out in
ME4
Unlimited or Alpha. Was this go back to Alpha?
This is originally, I don't know, but it's super old. You have no maximum hand size, it says, and it says if an effect causes you to discard a card, discard it, but you may put it on top of your library instead of into your graveyard. So, cool. You can just discard that card randomly to the top of your library, and keep in mind that it is a may. Both things are a may. You don't have to discard when you attack with Gallia or when you attack with the 3 creatures, because Gallia doesn't have to be one of them. If you do it and then you discard a land, you don't have to do it. I don't know I'm not sure at what point so you can decide. At any rate, you can decide whether or not you want to put it on top. Key thing here, though, is if you have any other discard effects. There's not that many in this deck. In fact, I'm not even sure there might not even be any. But if there's any other discard effects and it's like a cost, you can't do the Library of Lang thing. because it's only if an effect causes you to discard a card.
Oh,
That-
so not costs.
Right. So no. So if you like
cathartic
yes,
reunion or
exactly.
something.
Yeah. So you can't. You would actually have to discard that. But
Okay.
just a thing. If you're going to include this in like a heavily discarding style of deck, keep that in mind for Library Flying. Of course, the other one that encompasses all of our discards is Bag of Holding. This is a bit of a Commander's Brew favorite card these days when we're talking about these types of decks. 1 mana for the artifact that says whenever you discard a card, exile it from your graveyard, pay 2 and tap this to draw a card, then discard a card. And you can pay 4 and tap this to sacrifice Bag of Holding, return all cards exiled with Bag of Holding to their owner's hand. So if you discard something particularly sweet, you get to exile it under the Bag of Holding. I like this card in here because, yes, we have a lot of recursion and things like that. Yes, we have a lot of ways to actually interact with our graveyard. We have flashback and things like that. But that, just because you have Bag of Holding in here doesn't mean you're not going to be able to use that stuff, right? It just means that you kind of actually get an extra use out of all that stuff. So at the beginning of the game especially, it's only 1 mana. If you get Bag of Holding down, it all goes under the bag. Then you crack it, get that all to your hand, and then start using it, and then it's there for next time you want it. So it just adds to what you're doing.
It adds a fun mini game to your opponents because like no one will spend a card to remove this when there's nothing in it. But there does get a point where it becomes worthy of artifact removal. So like your opponents have to sit there and be like, there's 4 cards and I don't really care right now. But like if you get one that's too good, then maybe it becomes appealing. But I mean, it's probably better that they use their removal on this than something else.
Well, also like, it's going to be a thing when you start leaving 4 mana up because, because you just can, because you're going to be generating a lot of mana in this deck. So then it's real trouble because they can't do anything about it. Anyway, so yeah. One of the cool things about Gallia is that we actually get to draw 2 cards when her trigger goes off. So we've got a little bit of bonus coming up from that as well.
So we're talking from Eldraine, the Mad Ratter, 3 and a red for a goblin. When you draw your second card each turn, create 2 1/1 black rat creature tokens. More tokens, more attacking. We love that. And we also have Iron Crag Pyromancer, 2 and a red from the same set. Human Wizard, 0/4. A rare human makes another appearance, but this one doesn't attack much anyway, so I don't care if I'm not getting a counter from that. 2 and a red. 0/4. Whenever you draw your second card, 3 damage to any target. You get to lightning bolt something. So like that's pretty good.
Obviously, you just draw 1 card in your turn. That counts as your second card that you've drawn. So it doesn't. Right. Gallia doesn't need to actually draw you 2, but it's just pretty on theme. Also, actually, you're kind of fine to attack with an 0/4. We don't care if we hit necessarily all the time if we want to get the card draw going. So,
sure.
If an 0/4 can attack into, a couple 1/1s, and go for it.
I'll attack on 0/4 into a 3/3. I don't care.
I'll do whatever I want. Another cool card with this deck is Glinthorn Buccaneer, 1 red for the Minotaur Pirate with haste. It's a 2/4. Whenever you discard a card, Glinthorn Buccaneer deals 1 damage to each opponent, and then you can pay 1 and a red to discard a card and draw a card. And you can only activate that if he's attacking, which he will be doing a lot in this deck, so that's cool. But yeah, all the discarding that we're doing is great. Glinthorn really shines in this deck. You can get a couple extra damage on everyone each turn with this card.
That's a cheap activation.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
I love this include Harvest Season, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to X basic lands, where X is the number of tapped creatures you control. Put them onto the battlefield, tapped, shuffle your library. This is one of those big payoff cards that it's tough to get it working, but you're putting these creatures down early and for pretty cheap. I'm happy to fire this off when I've got 4 creatures attacking on turn 3 or 4.
Fire this off on turn 4 when you've played Gallia into Loyal Apprentice. That's just 3. That ramps you for 3 right there.
This is one I'm gonna hope I don't discard randomly.
This is the thing that I have this card and I keep thinking about it and I'm like, man, this card looks pretty good. And then when you really think about it, it's incredibly good. If you have a creature deck with any amount of creatures in it that are going to be on the battlefield, firing this off on turn 4 or 5 is not outside of the realm of possibilities. even if you only had 2 creatures on the battlefield tapped, that is enough.
Yeah, I guess we obviously are going to compare it to like a cultivate. So you always get 1 and then 1 into the hand. And I mean, some decks don't run as many basics as others, so this is less appealing in that sense. And like, maybe late game you're not too into ramp at that point. I mean, I don't mind. We like having discard fodder at that point, but like, yeah, man, I think this is. I've also been thinking a lot about this card, including the nightmares I have about this faceless gardener.
Yeah, the mummy just holding it looks like a beet or something.
I mean, they look nice.
They do look nice. These are the nice mummies from Amaya, remember?
Right. The helpers.
Yeah, the helper mummies. I think this is a very underrated card, especially if you're going to be doing any amount of attacking with your creature deck. And big shout outs to Discord for this inclusion. This was one that a couple people I think jumped on.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, read those names in a sec. Oh, yeah. Okay. So then, of course, we want to end out the game. And I'm just going to go through these like quickly because we kind of know what they all do. We talk about them a bunch. Beastmaster Ascension, the 3-mana enchantment that's it needs 7 or more quest counters on, and you get a quest every time you attack with a creature. So very easy to get the counters on this enchantment. It'll pump our team by +5/+5, which is just bonkers. And we include this card. This is like one of the cheaper and better overrun spells that you can get in Commander, kind of. Bummer that it doesn't have trample, but a lot of times it doesn't need trample. +5/+5 is insane.
Yeah.
And we also have Fires of Yavimaya, just being able to give our creatures haste, which is nice. It's a 1 red-green enchantment. You can also sack it to give something +2/+2 until end of turn, which like probably never going to happen really. But to really pump an overrun, we've got Endrace Forerunners, 5 green. This is our like Crater Hoof impression of choice these days. 7 mana, Vigilance, Trample, Haste. When Endrace Forerunners enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample until end of turn. Not bad.
I mean, it's certainly not Crater Hoof, but for a gumball, I think that's a fair comparison.
Very fair comparison. Are you kidding me? Absolutely fair comparison. Yeah, you might only be able to kill 1 or 2 of your opponents instead of just everyone with this. Which again is definitely worse, but still quite good.
Yeah.
And it is the same if we already have a few counters on our thing. So who cares?
Yeah. What a fun deck.
So yeah, token deck at its heart, but Gallia providing some pretty nice value and kind of feeding a little bit of an engine along the way.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, not bad. Surprises and discoveries for this one. We had one when someone mentioned Grand Warlord Radha in the Discord, I immediately also was like, hey, I think the other Radha would be good. And turns out I was right. Radha, heir to Keld, the original green-red 2/2 legendary elf warrior. Whenever she attacks, you may add red to your mana pool, or you can just use her as a classic mana dork and tap her to add green. Nice little creature.
Yeah.
Helpful for sure. Like I said, going to be attacking a lot. Generating mana that way is really great.
Yeah, this is the one they didn't think about letting this mana stick around after you're done attacking.
That's right.
Like you get it right away and you have to use it right away.
Yeah, it doesn't stick around, which is a bummer. But there's some ways to use it if you really want, or like I said, she just ramps you up nicely.
And Radha, like, I forgot how thin Radha was.
Yeah.
Like Radha bulked up.
She did bulk up. She hit the gym hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
No question. Well, we've done the surprises and discovery, so let's just quickly shout out our Discord helpers because this deck wouldn't have come together this way without them. We had a bunch of people in there chatting. Brandon, Chifi,
I think it's Chifi.
Chifi.
Double I.
Max Volume, Ahor W01, Mondo rather, and Kadrin all in there, giving us some huge, like a lot of the cards that you just saw us talk about were suggested from Discord. Yeah, so big shout outs there. If you like I said, hit up Patreon if you want to get in there and get it and start helping us out yourself. I have someone who wants to say hello. Is that right?
No,
I just wanted the baby monitor, but
Oh, you just wanted the baby monitor. Sarah's here, and guess what? She's wearing a green sweater, so she is just a floating head.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. Hang on, let me switch it so that we can really see it. Oh yeah, there.
Look at my hair, looks beautiful.
It does. Just hey, you're just a floating head.
Hey, I'm a floating head. I like Magic the Gathering. Yes, I do.
Get out of here, you
Some
floating head.
wizards and cats.
The singing floating head has really disrupted our podcast.
Worth it.
Worth it, 100% worth it. Oh right, okay. Well, let's choose our favorite cards. Sean, I will tell you what my favorite card is while
Okay.
you think about what yours is.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with True Classic, and my name is Andy Hull. If you didn't know that already,
Yes.
so I have to say that my favorite card is definitely Hull Breach. Hull Breach is red-green for the sorcery. Choose one, discard target artifact, or destroy target enchantment, or destroy target artifact and target enchantment. Pretty great. It's a sorcery. That's the downside of this card. But the fact that we get to hit an artifact and enchantment is obviously great. So what I did was I had, I can't remember the name of it, but I had that Force, I think it's Force of Nature. That's the green one that from Modern Horizons, where it was like, if it's not your turn, you can lose a card from your green card from your hand and cast it for free to hit to an artifact or an enchantment or whatever. And that card's not expensive or anything, but then I was just looking at it and I was like, I think Hull Breach is just comparable. You know what I mean? Like, it's a sorcery, again, not an instant like that, like a Force of Nature or whatever. But it's basically the same thing. It's a sorcery. It's cheaper, which is pretty good. And there's a lot of times when I do actually want to cast these types of spells on my turn anyways, just because, yeah, I could wait till an end step. But with artifacts and enchantments, it's weird. It's like you kind of don't want them to get their turn with it. So casting it on your turn is fine. Like, obviously, you can cast it on the end step before they start. That's kind of more ideal. But casting it on your turn is not that much different than that, because they still, like, if they're tapped out, they still can't respond to it, right? So
Yeah, I don't think, like, obviously instants are always better than sorceries, but at 2 mana, you can usually fit that in and not ruin your turn.
yeah, exactly. So I love Hull Breach. It's a great card, not just because it has my name in it, but because it's just a great card. Really, really solid. Have you a favorite card from this deck?
Yes, I do, sir. Please, sir, may I have some more Hell Rider?
Oh yeah, Hell Rider's a good one.
Red. It's a 3/3 with haste. It's a devil. Whenever a creature you control attacks, Hell Rider deals 1 damage to defending player. That's all she wrote. If you're attacking with tons of 1/1s or an 0/4 randomly just to get a Gallia trigger, why not throw in some extra damage that way? The only time I don't like Hell Rider is when I don't need it. When I'm just like, well, I'm already killing you with all my tokens. All these extra points mean you don't even survive to choosing blockers. Like, you're gonna die before you get to choose blockers, and that is the true shame.
Yeah. That's the extra burn on the person. Also, the fact that I think in the picture of Hell Rider, he is riding another demon into killing people. So he's
Yeah.
This is why we always think he has flying, is because it looks like he's like Green Goblin riding the.
He really does. Man, anything from, was it from Ravnica? It was Dark Ascension, which was Innistrad.
The Innistrad, yeah.
So metal. Hi, Leia.
Yeah.
Leia has a favorite card.
Oh, does she? Leia
Does Leia float?
Leia is just floating, yeah. Yeah. Here she is. Yeah.
Leia's probably favorite card is Firecat Blitz.
Yeah, Firecat Blitz is Leia's favorite card. Yeah, so that's it. That's the deck. It's
fun.
It's an aggressive one. It's one that wants to get attacking, but it's also one that can do some stuff in the later phases of the game, which is of course what you need in Commander. So
yeah.
I think that there's a deck here from with Gallia. I think
there's certainly a deck here.
Yeah, you definitely want to lean into that aggro. If you can get rid of a player early, great, do it. because then you'll hopefully generate enough value from her engine to be able to help with the other players. But
Oh, that's fantastic.
I think this is a good deck because it's also not going to draw a ton of hate. I don't think people are going to be super afraid of a Gallia of the Endless Dance. Look at her. She's just dancing.
Yeah.
She's just partying, man. Partying so hard that she's got this guy in the most brutal headlock you've ever seen. Like, she basically torn this guy's head off, and he's all like, I don't care. What? What do you mean?
That guy's head is almost off.
Yeah. Not to mention...
How much does this deck cost? We didn't do the budget
report. Okay, it's time for the budget report.
Take all the cards, throw one away randomly, but get 2 back.
Done. Easy. This one comes out to TCG prices. We're talking $126 market price. And the low is 61. So you're cutting that basically right in half with some banged up old beaters. If we're talking about most expensive, we have... Oh, my cat's losing her mind. We have Neheb. Neheb the Eternal is the most expensive card, coming in at around, I think it's like
$8.50.
Yeah, it's about like that is a lot. I did not expect for Neheb to be this much. Neheb's a great card though. 3 red for the 4/6. Legendary creature, zombie, Minotaur, warrior. One of the longest type lines I think ever. Afflict 3, so if it's blocked, it's still defending player still loses 3 life. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add red to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. Of course, this works great with a deck that's attacking a lot. Hell Rider's amazing with this card.
Yeah, give me that Devil's Play from the graveyard after Neheb hits.
Oh my god, yes, absolutely. Or before even. Maybe we got another one. Because you can Devil's Play first and then get all the red mana and then flash it back.
Oh, I love it. I love a Neheb deck.
Amazing. So that's the most expensive card.
Avenger of Zendikard's second most expensive, $8. This is the #1 plant token generator. They reprint this frequently, and it is still back up to this. So, I mean, I guess they didn't reprint it since 2013, 2018, and then it's still back up to $8.
2018, yeah, it's still back up to 8. When they do print it'll drop down to like $5 usually. Somewhere around there, and then comes back up. And then we have Xenakis, which is another great Discord suggestion. And it is really good in this deck because it hits on a couple levels. 2 red, green for Xenakis the Reveler. He's a Planeswalker with 3 loyalty. His +1 is add X in any combination of red or green to your mana pool, where X is the number of creatures you control. This is a great ramp spell in this deck. Often you get to play this card for free, basically.
I like that.
The 0 is put a 2/2 red and green satyr creature token with haste onto the battlefield. So again, we're getting a hasty creature. It's actually going to be a 3/3 if we have Gallia out. One of the 2 satyr synergistic cards in the deck. There's another one that makes a bunch of satyr tokens.
Nice.
And then the ultimate, which like honestly you don't even really care about, is -6 to exile top 7 cards of your library. You can put any number of creature and or land cards from among them onto the battlefield. It's not a bad ultimate to do.
It's not bad,
if you're in a spot where it makes sense to do it, sure, go ahead. But really, you're using this guy for a couple of tokens and some nice mana ramp. Yeah, then it goes.
Yeah, I like it.
Good in this deck for sure.
Fun,
a lot of fun. Like I said, I think it's a real deck.
Yeah, I think it's a real deck. I love it.
Yeah, loving the Gruul. And I got in doing this, I got an idea for another Gruul deck, which I think I might do when it's next my turn. So I'm
okay.
Might be getting back-to-back Gruul decks from me.
I love it. I don't mind.
Don't mind it.
Gang, thanks for listening and watching. This was great. This has been fun.
Yeah, it was a good one. We'll see everyone next time. Remember to hit up MTG Canada and Wizard Tower for all your Canadian Magic needs, and check out TCGplayer if you're in the States. Use our affiliate link, which is below on YouTube and it's in our show notes for the audio to get this deck and other cards, anything you want from there, and that'll help us out big time. Gives us a little bit of a kickback on whatever it is you're spending. It's really great. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCGplayer affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.